Hello, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. Well, here it is. This is a view from GO-17, one of our brand new geostationary satellites, showing you the incredibly large low-pressure system that is currently spinning out here in the open Pacific and finally making landfall here in the West Coast. Now, this was a pretty impressive image because it just shows you the sheer size of the system, but I want you to see right here we have this beautiful rope cloud. Can you see it right in there in that little area that I just drew, showing us where we have some surface convergence. That's where the air is kind of coming together at the surface, causing it to rise. And right in through here, we were actually building some thunderstorms. Well, those thunderstorms made their way onshore throughout the overnight hours on Wednesday into early Thursday morning. And this particular radar image, valid around 2 o'clock in the morning, shows all of that precipitation coming in here to the West Coast, and some of this right in through here, some thunderstorm activity. Meanwhile, back over to the Midwest, we had our first round of multiple rounds of weather systems coming through the middle part of the country and the East Coast here. And so we had some mixed precipitation right here as a lot of warm air was kind of feeding into this system here. But we had enough cold air near the ground, especially because of that snow cover, that we were kind of getting this layered effect in the atmosphere. So some of this was falling as freezing rain mixed with some snow, and then further to the south, some rain. So if you are waking up early in the morning watching this before you leave, be very careful in this particular region as we had a mixed bag of precip. Now, back to the north and west of that, right into this area, much of this was lighter snow, as we saw a dusting to maybe an inch or two in some locations here as we get ready to watch this next big system that's coming into California, really going to be causing some major problems. Now, out west, we do need this system to slam into the coast and kind of sit and spin, at least for a little while, because what we're looking at here is basin average snow water content. We pay close attention to this out west all winter long. So you're looking here at where everything is compared to average. Now, the Sierra Nevada reporting stations here are almost at 100%, so this is going to push them over 100%. But when you look up here in parts of the coastal ranges and parts of Oregon, Washington, then getting back into the Rockies here, the Payette Mountains and parts of Idaho, you can see that overall we are below average. So we need this system to come through to really pack that snow in, and we're going to take a look at what the snowfall amounts look like here in a few minutes. Now, Chad Colby, guy I follow on Twitter, does a great job tweeting. He put out this picture, and I love it because this really is what it's probably felt like for a lot of the public as they watch us meteorologists kind of discuss and debate what we think is coming out of the system. So, the forecast for this weekend, somewhere between 1 and 2 feet of snow. Chad, I'm right there with you. This is a tough one. Let's take a look at what we got. I'm going to turn first to what we've got here from the National Weather Service. So this is a map showing you the 72-hour probability of snow accumulating at least 4 inches. And this is going to take us all the way through Saturday evening. Now, you can see out here all the high snow amounts out west, but we kind of got two different things to be paying attention to. We have the heavier snow band that will likely set up somewhere in here and then get on off to the northeast once we get beyond Saturday evening. And then we have the secondary heavier snow band that's coming right into this. So we got to kind of diagnose both of these because we can see the probability of getting at least 4 inches of snow here is above 70%, at least when kind of consulting the National Weather Service. So let's kind of take a look at what we've got. I'm going to start you off at 5 a.m. on Thursday morning, and we're going to watch here our high resolution NAM model. So this, again, there's that boundary right in through there where we're getting the mix between the rain and the snow, and again, there was some mixing in there of some freezing rain and sleet, our lighter snow on the backside, and then of course our big coastal low coming in on the west coast. Well, as we animate forward throughout the early morning hours, then through midday on Thursday, the lighter snow and lighter rain presses through parts of Indiana, Ohio, and then goes on off to the north and east. Okay, after that, here I am on late in the evening on Thursday. What we're going to be watching is this. We have some pretty decent moisture transport coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico in the lower levels of the atmosphere. I'm talking about 1.5 miles above our heads. And as we see this little shortwave trough, the first one kind of coming through this area, we're going to get some lift out ahead of this next big system. So we're going to see light snow spreading through parts of Montana, North Dakota, but then certainly down here in South Dakota, and maybe the potential for some mixed precipitation in this section here. Now we're talking 3 a.m. on Friday morning in parts of South Dakota and Nebraska. Now watch as we get that main wave out of Colorado and into the Central Plains. So here we see that snow spreading through the early morning hours in South Dakota, getting over towards southern Minnesota here. And then here comes the development of our next big system. It's going to take shape there in the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and then spread toward the south and east of that, getting over toward Arkansas throughout the day on Friday. So this is Friday afternoon and evening. Now, as this system takes shape, some of the things I'm concerned about, you can kind of see where the rain-snow line is right in through here, but we are going to have to watch this area again for the potential for some wintry precipitation, kind of the mixed variety, so sleet and freezing rain. It'll be a snow event on the backside, but you saw that snow spread in from the northwest first, right across these states, and then kind of really take shape with this low-pressure center developing here by the time you get in to the overnight hours on Friday. That system then continues to develop as we press into Saturday morning, and I'll take you out to about 7 a.m. on Saturday. So we can see we're going to have potentially a thunderstorm threat down here in the southern Mississippi River Valley, but then the rain-snow line at this particular point seems to be cutting somewhere here around I-70, where north of that it'll be a snow event right along I-70. Could be looking at some mixed precipitation. And then south of it, rain. But that could be changing over as the colder air kind of sneaks in on the backside. So this is kind of our high-resolution view from the NAM model. Okay, what is the NAM telling us in terms of total snowfall? I'm going to use a 10-to-1 snow ratio on this. We can see that here in South Dakota, we're looking at maybe, in a band, I'll just call it from here to here, maybe 2 to 5 inches of snow. It looks like in parts of Iowa, could be getting a little bit more of that. Maybe some locations there pushing 6 to 8 inches possibly. And then you can see down here in parts of central Illinois and even getting into north central Illinois, we're looking right now at an event that could be anywhere in the 2 to 4 inch range, possibly some heavier amounts before the bigger snow gets into this region throughout the day on Saturday. So that is kind of our near-term look at things through early in the morning on Saturday. Now, where are we going from there? Well, I'm going to shift over to the European model. I'm going to show you how tricky this forecast has been. What I'm about to play for you is what we call our DPROG DT. So we're looking at each model run over the last several model runs. So I'm going to show you 7 of them. And you can see how much the model has changed in the position and the intensity of the snow. So what have we got right now? Well, this is why things have been so challenging. Let me take you back to a model run that was initiated a few days ago. You see, the 2 main features we're watching is this trough right in through here, and then this one up here, and they're phased, which means they're working together. Now, initially, the model had this particular trough axis located in that area and a much deeper closed low in that area in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Well, let's transition from there to the more recent model runs. We can see here that as we got into our next run, look at this. The position of our trough axis began to kind of shift a little bit further to the north. But still, the low that was coming out of the Great Plains was still quite deep, and therefore we saw some major snowfall amounts through the eastern Corn Belt. Well, as we got even over here to our even later run, well, look at this. The main trough axis from that system that's up there in Canada began to shift more toward the north and kind of decouple from our trough down here. And therefore, we started to weaken this system. And here was 2 model runs ago. Look at this. That trough up there, retreating north. Our wave then opens up down here. And as a consequence, we lose some of the intensity. We lose some of the strong moisture advection around the front side of this. And here's our latest model run. What do we see? Trough axis for the northern branch is still hanging out in Canada. Remember, it was once like this, but it has since shifted. And look at what the wave has done. It has opened up. It has lost its intensity in that area. And the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because when you ask why it's so difficult to produce these forecasts, well, those subtle features change everything. So this is now what the European model is picking up on snowfall through Sunday evening. And you can see, like we talked about, this is the 2 to 5 inch range in through here. We can see that once the low gets going down here in parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma and starts racing on off in this direction, we could be seeing those heavier amounts right in here. So we're talking maybe 2 to 5, some locally heavier amounts right in a region where we just got hammered with some snow. And then as this system goes into the Ohio River Valley, look at this, we're talking possibly here a bigger snowfall event. Now, this model is not going to hammer these amounts in the way we want it to. It's just not capable of doing that. But just be on the lookout if you're watching this video and you're in Ohio for the potential for a bigger snowfall event. I certainly think that having snow in here greater than 6 to 8 inches is a possibility. Now, if you watch my videos up here in the northeast, I'll tell you something much bigger snowfall amounts in that area. Just for completeness, I do want to show you what the GFS is showing because there are some similarities here. We can see again that 2 to 5 inch snowfall amount there, and then of course the heavier amounts stretching into this area. But the GFS bringing the rain a little bit farther to the north here. So the European model is a little colder, especially in parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia. So we still see a narrow band in here of 6+ inches of snow, and then getting to be much larger amounts as we get into the northeast. So let me kind of add to this maybe a little more sanity by looking here at the European ensemble for the probability of having at least 3 inches of snow. So again, we are focusing on this band here. We're focusing on the development of that in through there. So the pretty high probabilities of seeing at least those amounts. Again, when you get up into the yellow colors, we're talking about at least a 60 to 70%. If we step this up to 6 inches, what do we see? Again, we were focusing in on this region right in through here and then stretching through the Ohio River Valley as we progress through the early part of the weekend. There's a really good chance here in the northeast that we could have pretty widespread, maybe over 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snow in that area. Okay, I also want to remind you that we do have a freezing rain threat with these next few systems as well. So we're looking here over the next 72 hours. So this again takes us out until Saturday evening, where we are watching for the probability of some freezing rain in several locations. And then I'll tell you, once this system gets going and heads up to the northeast, we're going to have quite a bit of cold air sneaking down behind this at the surface, but warm air advection out ahead of it. And that just kind of sandwiches in a region right in through here where it's going to be a very tricky forecast to see if we have a band of freezing rain in that region. Certainly some model support. And the question will be, how far to the south does that threat extend? It's going to be a very tough forecast for the northeast, picking where we're going to have rain, freezing rain, and snow over the coming days. So this is what the operational European model is picking up on. Starting off at 6 a.m. on Thursday morning, look at all of the heavy rain and snow coming into the Sierra Nevadas out west. This is our first system right in through here. I'll call this round 1, spreading some light snow across parts of Iowa, parts of northern Missouri, and central and north central Illinois. Well, as we play this one forward, sorry, that went kind of fast. That first system heads on off to the northeast, and here we go. This is Friday, early morning. You can start to see the light snow spreading into parts of South Dakota, Nebraska, getting over toward Iowa. Now the system begins to take shape there in the Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas area. And the current operational model here for Saturday morning, you can see where it's got the rain-snow boundary, and you can see the heavier snows that are going to be on the backside of the system. Well, as we progress through the day on Saturday, that spreads into the Ohio River Valley. The European model wants to put this down as largely a rainfall event for parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, southern Illinois, and Arkansas to start off. But as it progresses through, look at the changeover in the overnight hours on Saturday. So this is going to start off rain, but enough cold air sneaks in behind it that this is going to be maybe a changeover. The whole system is deep enough, as you can see in the spacing of the isobars, to be producing a lot of very windy conditions. And as this races up the East Coast, again, like I said, heavy snows in the interior, but it's going to be right in through here where we're going to have a lot of difficulty picking up on where that rain, snow, and ice boundary is going to be located. So that's just system number 1. And as it drags through the southeast, I'm talking about a lot of rain we're picking up there. Now, let's watch for the next system to come through, because behind this, some bitterly cold air. I'll show it to you in a moment. But we see that by next Monday into Tuesday, there's another system coming through. Now, we don't have the details pinned down on this, but this is this active storm track we've been talking about. So to put it all together, look at what we're looking at here. Next Tuesday, we can see that the European ensemble is picking up on a broad area of low pressure, which means the models are just suggesting another system comes through. This is the high pressure center that comes in behind the first system that's coming through this weekend, bringing in that bitterly cold air. But this next system gets going, and so this is valid on Tuesday morning. Look at what happens by Wednesday evening, Thursday morning. We're watching a clipper system coming here out of the north central plains, possibly a coastal low, and they're going to be coming together in this area such that by the time we get into Friday morning, we have a pretty good model agreement on another low pressure system in this area. So what does all that mean? We got an active storm track kind of doing a couple of different things here over the coming days, and it's all going to kind of meet in the northeast, which is why the northeast is going to be quite volatile in the coming days. Now, when we think about this temperature pattern, we're going to right now take the Mad-Julian oscillation off the table. It's because it's in its null phase and it's going to weekly go into phases 4, 5, and 6 over the coming days. But the MJO is right now being kind of outdone by the splitting polar vortex. And that split in the polar vortex is finally getting realized down deep into the troposphere. And that is going to set us up with a flow pattern in the upper levels, something like this. So I'm just going to play out the trough ridge pattern for you over the next 15 days. And what you're going to see here is the European ensemble is really picking up on this pattern such that ridging goes out there into parts of Alaska and a broad trough kind of setting up in this area, at least getting us through the end of the month. And that is why we just keep seeing multiple systems coming in as Alberta Clippers, taking shape here in the Central Plains, and even coming in as coastal lows down south, because that trough, each time we just get little pieces, little shortwaves coming around it, is just going to keep initiating these winter storms. So that is the shift over in the pattern. Now, what is this doing to temperatures? Well, I'm going to actually show you model forecast temperatures rather than anomalies, just to kind of get you clued in on how cold it's going to be. So the model's picking up on this. Look, that color transition there, that's where we go from, to 0 or below 0 Fahrenheit. Your freezing colors are right in through here. So look at this. You can see where that cold air is in position on Thursday morning. And as I play this forward, what we're going to see here is multiple intrusions of some bitterly cold air. So after that system goes through on over the weekend, look at the cold air that comes in behind it. This is now valid. I'll take you right there to Sunday morning. We can see a deep pocket of very, very cold air invading the Midwestern states heading over toward the Great Lakes. So there it is by the time you get to Monday. Look at that cold air stretching from, really Wisconsin, Illinois, all the way to the Northeast. We get a little bit of a reprieve from that to start off next week, but then behind the next system, we got more cold air that comes in. So we're just going to keep ushering in this cold air. Look, I'm taking you all the way out to the end of January here. Multiple big cold air intrusions. So it's going to be coming in on waves, but we might be seeing some days there where the temperatures struggle to get out of the single digits. Now, if you would like to go somewhere where it's hot, go to Australia. Thursday, high temperatures in Australia. Look, much of this of the continent here is going to be seeing triple-digit heat. It is a massive heat wave in Australia. Okay, what I want to do to finish up this video is I want to take it quickly to South America. This has kind of been a wash, rinse, repeat pattern here. We continue to see the longer range European model picking up on the slight dry bias. It is raining in Brazil, but what we're doing here is we're kind of comparing this to average. And because of what's going on in the Central Pacific Ocean, because of the phases we've seen the Mad-Julian oscillation go into, we've just seen a weakening of the Brazilian monsoon, and most of the moisture has been focused down here in Argentina, southern Brazil, and Uruguay. So this is just some adversity. We may have too much rain in Argentina's main productive regions down here, and then as we're harvesting that first crop beans in parts of Mato Grosso, we've been dealing with a lack of rainfall recently. So all of this is just kind of hitting South America in a negative way, and you're going to start to see folks kind of backing off on some of their yield and production estimates with time because of it. Okay, that was a lot to discuss, but I hope it provided some clarity in our long-range forecast here. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. We at Nutrien hope you look forward to our next ag forecast coming out on Monday morning. Until then, keep a very close eye on these next few weather systems as they're going to be impactful across much of the U.S. Thank you.